The Arctic versus the Antarctic, slow version. On our planet, we have two polar regions. The Arctic, whose name comes from Greek Arcticus of the north, and the Antarctic, from Antarcticus, opposites of the north. But there's an easy way to remember them. If you just remember what surrounds them, the Arctic, situated in the northern hemisphere of our planet, is an ocean entirely surrounded by land. On the other side of the world, the Antarctic is a continent entirely surrounded by ocean. So the Arctic has polar bear but no penguins. The Antarctic has penguins but no polar bear. Let's talk about the Arctic first. The Arctic region consists of a vast ice-covered ocean surrounded by treeless permafrost. The area can be defined as the region between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole. If you are standing at the North Pole, everywhere you look, in all directions, will be south. But standing at the North Pole is difficult to do for very long because it's in the middle of the ocean, covered by constantly shifting frozen sea ice. If you were to fall into the water at the North Pole, you'd fall into the water that 30,980 feet deep. Above the water, average winter temperatures can be as low as negative 40 degrees Celsius, and the coldest record temperature is approximately negative 68 degrees Celsius. Despite these increased hard conditions, humans have populated the area and the Arctic for thousands of years. Life in the Arctic includes organisms living in the ice, zooplankton, phytoplankton, fish, and marine mammals, birds, and land animal, plant, and human societies. Okay, what about Antarctica? Antarctica is Earth's southernmost continent and it contains the geographic South Pole. It's the fifth largest continent on the planet and nearly twice the size of Australia. Almost 90% of Antarctica is covered by ice at least 1 mile in thickness. Conditions in Antarctica are some of the most extreme in the entire world. On average, it's the coldest, windiest, dry continent and the highest average elevation of all the continents. You might think that it snows all the time at the poles. That Antarctica is so dry, it's considered a desert, with annual precipitation of only 200 millimeters along the coast and far less inland. The temperature in Antarctica has reached negative 89 degrees Celsius. Because it's so hard and hard to get to, there's no permanent human residence on Antarctica, but anywhere from the thousands to 5,000 people reside throughout the year at research stations scattered across the continent. Even the most extreme animals fight for survival, and only cold-depth organisms survive there, including many types of algae, animals, bacteria, fungi, plants, and protista. But why is Antarctica colder than its northern cousin? Well, first, much of the continent in the more than 3 kilometers above the sea level and temperature decrease with the elevation. That's why mountains have a snow on them. Second, remember that Arctic is really a frozen ocean. The water in the ocean beneath is warmer than the frozen ground in the Antarctic, and that warmth is transferred through the ice bag. This prevents temperature in the Arctic regions from reaching the extreme typical of the land surface of Antarctica. Third, the seasons are conspiring against the Antarctic. During the unfurling in July, when the Earth is the farthest away from the sun, it also happens to be winter in the Antarctic, which create a double whammy of cold for the Southern Pole. But despite being inhospitable, the North and South Pole are a big reason why our planet is the way it is. Both of our polar regions are very important climate controllers. They help moderate the temperature in our temperate zone and give us stable weather. As sea and ice in the Arctic declines due to climate change and global warming, weather around the globe becomes increasingly more unstable. One more with original speed. On our planet, we have two polar regions: the Arctic, whose name comes from the Greek article of the North, and the Antarctic from Antarcticus, opposite of the North. But there's easier way to remember that if just remember what's surrounding them. The Arctic, situated in the North Hemisphere of our planet, is ocean entirely surrounded by land. On the other side of the world, the Antarctic is a continent entirely surrounded by ocean. So the Arctic has polar bear but no penguin. The Antarctic has penguin but no polar bears. Let's talk about Arctic first. The Arctic region consists of a vast ice-covered ocean surrounded by truly permafrost. The area can be defined the region between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole. Have you ever seen the North Pole? Everywhere looking in all directions will be south. But standing at North Pole is difficult to do for very long because it's in the middle of the ocean, covered by constantly shifting frozen ice sea. If you weren't falling in the water at the North Pole, you'd be falling in the water at 13,980 feet deep. Above the water, average winter temperature can be as low as negative 40 degrees Celsius, and the coldest recorded temperature is approximately negative 68 degrees Celsius. Despite this increased harsh condition, humans have populated area in the Arctic for thousands of years. Life in the Arctic includes organisms living in ice, zooplankton and phytoplankton, fish and marine mammals, birds, land animals, planet, and human society. Okay, what about Antarctica? Antarctica is Earth's southernmost continent and claims the geographic South Pole. It's the fifth largest continent on the planet and nearly twice the size of Australia. Almost 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice at least 1 mile in thickness. Conditions in Antarctica are some of the most extreme in the entire world. On average, it's the coldest, windiest, driest continent, has the highest average elevation of all the continents. You might think it's sun all the time at the poles, but the Arctic is so dry it's considered a desert with annual precipitation of the 200 millimeters along the coast and the farthest inland. The temperature in Antarctica has reached negative 89% Celsius. Because it's hard and hard to get to, there's no permanent human residence in Antarctica. But anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 people reside throughout the year at research stations scattered across the continent. Even the most extreme animals fight for survival, and the only coldest organisms survive there, including many types of algae, animals, bacteria, fungi, plants, and protista. But why is Antarctica colder than its north cousin? Well, first, much of the continent is more than 3 kilometers above the sea level and temperature decreases with elevation. That's why mountains have snow on them. Second, remember that Antarctica is really a frozen ocean. The water in the ocean benefit is warmer than the frozen ground in the Arctic, and that warmth is transferred throughout the iceberg. This prevents temperature in the Arctic regions from reaching the extreme typical of the landsurface Antarctica. Third, diseases are conspiring against the Arctic. During the April and July, when the Earth is furthest away from the sun, it also happens to winter in Antarctic, which creates a double whammy of the cold for the South Pole. But despite being inhospitable, North and South Pole are a big reason why our planet is the way it is. Both of our polar regions are very important climate controllers. They help moderate temperature in our temperature zone and give us stable weather. As sea ice in the Arctic declines to the climate change and global warming, weather around the globe becomes increasingly more unstable.